things Chelsea. Alongside me is the big Chelsea fan, YouTuber, podcaster, Louis Beneventi. Louis, come on then. We're sat here, 4:04, Thursday, August 29th. We know it's been a crazy couple of years for Chelsea, really, under the new ownership. We know £1.4 billion has been spent. Lots of players training away from the first team. Let's talk the transfer window. Out. We know Chelsea need to sell players, high-profile players, like Raheem Sterling. Looking into a crystal ball, how do you think the next day or so is going to play out?
Well, the Raheem Sterling situation, it seems like it feels like it's at a bit of a standstill. £300,000 a week he's on, and that's flat rate, no incentivised contract like a lot of the squad. He's not delivered, but unfortunately, as much as he wants to move, it's finding somebody who's going to be willing to pay the fees. And obviously, he's going to have to take a pay cut wherever he goes, but it's whether or not he's going to take a substantial one. Obviously, Crystal Palace were linked with him very heavily. They're not going to pay that money for him. And obviously, they still have to replace some of their outgoing talent. We mentioned Elise earlier in the show. He's an example of someone who, I don't think he's the same calibre as Elise personally. A different type of player, but he's an attacking talent which Palace could really make the most out of. Ben Chilwell is another example as well. But, there's a lot of players that are on big wages that Chelsea have already moved on. Kepa being one, Lukaku being another. So, I think Raheem Sterling is going to be either at Chelsea come September 1st and cast out, which is what he's been told. He's been told he won't be playing any first-team football if he stays at Chelsea, or we will miraculously see him go. I think it's going to be a loan. I think we'll pay some of his wages. He'll go on loan somewhere, and there'll be an obligation to buy for them at the end of the season.
What did you make of the rumours of a swap deal, Sterling to United, Sancho to Chelsea?
I don't understand why we went over Federico Chiesa. I don't get that. There was talk of Juventus being all over Raheem Sterling, wanting him. Great club for him to go to Italy, go to Turin, the birthplace of risotto, can't go wrong. But that's
the first thing I think of.
Well, look, yeah, he could have gone there. Federico Chiesa, look, I'm a massive fan of French.
Do you always have to do the accent when you say his name?
Listen, mate, I speak the language. Don't get jealous.
Just do this bit in Italian then if you want. We'll put subtitles on the YouTube video. Not sure about the radio.
It'll be a bit tough for everyone listening. I can't subtitle that. But yeah, no, he's obviously, I think he's fantastic. But, Jadon Sancho, he obviously has a bit, he's had issues in terms of dealing with managers who are a little bit maybe high-strung, he might see them as. Obviously, Dortmund, he's always late training. He was always fine there. He's not had a great relationship there.
But did really well there at Dortmund, didn't he?
He did really well.
I think we shouldn't forget that this is a guy that, I know it didn't work out at Man United, but there's a reason why United spent such big money on him, and nobody sniffed at that price when it happened. He didn't fluke 2 really good years, did he, at Borussia Dortmund before he went to Manchester United? He was a top-class player there.
No, of course. But at the same time, I think it's how he was managed at Dortmund was, even though he did that, he was still delivering. At United, he hasn't done that. He hasn't delivered, and he was still gone in with the same attitude, and that's caused problems and rubbed people the wrong way at United. Enzo Maresca has already shown that he will take no rubbish from anybody. So, is that the right relationship? Is that a player which Chelsea need? In fact, do Chelsea even need another winger?
And that's the thing, you don't need another winger. It didn't make any sense, did it? Because the one thing you definitely don't need is another winger or
exactly
another kind of player to play anywhere behind the centre forward. Just on Raheem Sterling, at 29 years of age, and we should, I know he's only 29, but he's been playing Premier League football for well over 10 years now. He made his debut as a 16-year-old. Do you still think that there is a good player in there, or do you kind of think that his career is not coming towards an end, but certainly coming towards an end of sort of playing football at the top level?
I think it's coming to an end at the top level.
Yeah,
I think
agree with that.
For me, the amount of times last season that I saw Raheem Sterling make the mistakes that the same 16-year-old would make, and he at that point was 28 years of age. It's his decision making isn't improving. He's not putting himself in the right positions. I feel like at Manchester City he was good because he wasn't the main man. You ask him to go somewhere and be the main man, I think he's going to struggle. So I think Palace be a really good move for him. He might be the main man there, but the pressure's not as significant. I think he'll enjoy his football more. If I was his agent, I'd be saying, look, let's get you to Palace. The wage you're going to have to cut the wages, but you've had a good run of it at Chelsea. Let's get you playing football, and let's try and get you back in the England squad. That would be my prerogative if I was his agent.
How do you feel Enzo Maresca's handled the last couple of weeks? He's come into, a unique situation at Chelsea with the big squad, the players training away from the first team, decisions being made from well above him in terms of, I think the Conor Gallagher decision was, came from the owners, right? They wanted to get rid of Conor Gallagher. They wanted that money coming in. In the very early stages, what are your early impressions of Enzo Maresca? Not just the Chelsea kind of head coach, but the way he's kind of dealt with the media over the last couple of weeks.
I love how he deals with the media. I like how
forthright, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you hear people saying he was brutal. No, he's been, like you said, forthright, making his point and just getting on with it. He doesn't care. He's there to do his job, and he says that every time. I'm here to do my job. This is what we're doing. This is the situation. So I really like the way he's done that. It's only been a few games. I'm not going to lie. I was at the Inter Milan pre-season game. I was at City. I watched the Servette home leg, and I was bored. I was so bored. And the Wolves game just seemed to see a spark. He saw something very different. There was that possession style of football, but there was also a much more, like his press conferences, forthright nature, more direct, going forward on the ball, attacking, going at people. Noni Madueke being a prime example of that. Robert Sanchez at one point booted it long to Nicholas Jackson, who flicked it on, rather than just having tippy-tappy, left, right, let's go here, let's paint Mona Lisa smile in terms of, playing football. There was a certain directness to how Chelsea played. So I enjoyed that second half. I enjoyed the Wolves game overall. If that can carry on, I'm very happy. I'd like to see more of it, and I'm excited for Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. What
happens with your centre forward? So you've obviously got Jackson and Nkunku at the moment,
and Mark Gui.
Mark Gui. And is Breuer still there? That the Ipswich move didn't go through, did it?
Yeah. So Breuer is an interesting one. So the Ipswich move hasn't gone through. Everton are interested. But apparently, for us to get him to Everton, we need to take Dominic Calvert-Lewin or something like that, which I think is a terrible idea, personally. I'd just take the money and run. But
you've been linked with Osimhen for a long time, and now in the last few days you've been linked with Ivan Toney at Brentford, who we know has got a year left on his deal. He's not playing at the moment at Brentford. He's been heavily linked with Saudi. How would you like the idea of Ivan Toney being your new number 9?
I love Ivan Toney.
Why?
I love his attitude. I like players who can carry arrogance and back it up. Ivan Toney's one of those players.
Can he back it up?
Oh, I think he can back it up.
How?
He's done that in an England. He's shown it. He's done it in an England shirt. He had, obviously, before everything that happened last year, had a very, very good season at Brentford beforehand. He came back. Yeah, maybe the numbers weren't as strong when he came back, but he started off well. Well, yeah, but he started off well. And he
came back sort of, Billy Big, you know what?
Yeah,
and he couldn't hit a barn door, could he?
Look, for me,
By the way, I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, of course, I know.
Because I should say, actually, this is one of those that it feels like it could be a really good deal for all parties. I think Brentford know they've got to get rid of him because they just can't get into a position next summer where they lose him for free. It'd be scandalous. He obviously wants to move. Him going to Saudi would have been an absolute travesty. Because at the stage of his career, in around England squads, and we know it's big money, but you can still earn big money elsewhere. It might not be as much money. And also as well, you're going to get a number 9, and you need that focal point, that striker. And I was being a little bit naughty there, trying to play devil's advocate. But I do think he's got strengths, and I do actually think that he would suit the system really well.
Yeah, I think he brings a different dynamism to Chelsea. Where we were talking about tippy-tappy football, you got that with João Felix. Nicholas Jackson's proven already that he can hold on the ball, flick it on, bring players in. But then having someone who's that focal point with a proven track record, which, by the way, I think could even help Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson's numbers last year for a first season wearing the centre-forward shirt for Chelsea under the pressure he was under, he did pretty well. Yes, he had a few sitters that he missed, but he is a raw player. He's a young player. Having someone like Ivan Toney, who's been through everything in English football, can almost put his arm around his shoulder and go, right, let me help you refine these parts of your game. This is how things work in England better. This is what you can do here. This is what you can do there. And then when he maybe does go on in a few years, because look, this is probably going to be Ivan Toney's last big contract. So, if he goes on a few years, we'll have a player in Nicholas Jackson who hopefully is ready to lead the line for Chelsea completely. Not that he's not already. I think he's still a fantastic option who can play for Chelsea and lead the line, but just isn't the elite striker, which I think Ivan Toney is, who can guarantee you 6 to 9 points a season.
So you say elite striker. Are you then surprised, certainly given his contract situation, that more big clubs aren't in for him? Because until the Chelsea links a few days ago, the only clubs that have actually properly been linked with him are clubs in Saudi Arabia.
I think it's the issue of what happened to him last year. I think a lot of clubs are maybe a bit nervous about
Well, the
touching on
betting.
that. Yeah, with the betting. I think that is...
Or in
that is
case
an
something
issue.
more to come out, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that maybe might worry people.
Right. People say his attitude, maybe you said you like his arrogance, which is fair. Some people maybe say that could go the other way. Clubs might go, not sure that kind of persona would maybe work in a job. I don't know. Again,
we saw it with Romelu Lukaku, where that attitude went completely the wrong way. But I don't think Ivan Toney would do that. I don't. This is him finally reaching the pinnacle he always wanted to. He was at Newcastle. He went to Peterborough. He worked his way up through League One, the Championship, got to the Premier League, proved at the Premier League. Right, Ivan, this is your opportunity. Go and prove it. And I think he will do that. That's why I like his arrogance, because he's backed it up through multiple divisions and he's worked hard to get there.
So is there a possibility that when all's said and done, let's say you get that centre forward over the line, the window closes and all the noise stops about 40 players and bomb squads and all that sort of stuff? What I find crazy about the situation, this shouldn't sound too much of a surprise given you spent £1.5 billion on a squad, but you actually start piecing it together. Tony leading the line, Palmer, Madueke, whether it's Felix or Neto. I mean, if you can get the Caicedo at Brighton, firing in midfield alongside Lavia, a bit more of a settled back four, and with real strength and depth. You saw by the subs you made on Sunday, real quality coming off the bench. All of a sudden, you start to look at that team and you just think, goodness me, you've actually got some seriously good options.
Oh, we do. We've got some great talent there.
So you're optimistic of a good season then?
Yeah.
Do you think Chelsea could have a better season than people maybe think?
I hope so. I never like to jinx it.
What's your head telling you though?
My head is telling me Chelsea going to finish 6th, 7th.
Really?
Yeah. I think
so. Top 3: City, Arsenal, Liverpool. Maybe not in that order, but so who do you think? Are United stronger? Or
I think United are stronger.
Spurs?
Spurs I think are definitely more settled. I think that the benefit that these clubs
have. I'm not sure. I right now, I would say I'm fairly certain Chelsea come above Man United. I think you look like you've got a much stronger team than Manchester United. And they're not coached very well, which we know. And we saw that last season, they came 8th over a 38-game Premier League season. They're not coached particularly well.
I get that, but then I do feel that with the small tweaks they've made, they are 1 or 2 games away from just clicking into place. With us, it's a similar position. But my worry, the reason I say 6th, 7th, I'm always prudent with my predictions. I like to look at it and go, well...
We don't like prudent here at talkSPORT. we want bold. We want Chelsea going to win the quadruple this season. Mic drop, deal with it.
We're going to win the Conference League and we're going to win it by 17 million goals.
I mean, you should do that, really, shouldn't you?
You really should do, yeah.
You can't spend that amount of money and not win the Conference League, could you?
Just let's not talk about that. So that's a problem if that doesn't
happen. Also, by
happen.
the way, I mean, it's great having you in the studio, but I can't believe you're not in Servette.
I know.
You're a glory hunter, aren't you, really? You don't fancy, I bet you'll be there at the Conference League final when you get there. I bet you, where's the Conference League final this year? There you go, of course you knew where it was. You booked your hotel?
Yeah,
of course you have.
90 quid already done.
But Servette away on a... Probably not cold actually, on a warm Thursday evening.
Oh, Geneva.
You are unbelievable. I bet it's quite nice over there this time of year, right?
Yeah, I think it might be, but I'd much rather be here with you, Sam.
No, well said, well saved. Final question before we break. In terms of out, so mention Raheem Sterling. Anybody else, any other high profile players I've forgotten about that you're expecting to be moved on in the next 40 hours?
Ben Chilwell, I think will find an exit.
He's also one training away, isn't he?
Yeah, Ben Chilwell's training away, as is Trevor Chalobah as well. So there's 3 players there. Look, if it goes wrong for Chelsea and they don't move these players on, that's a massive issue. It's a big issue for them to deal with. Ben Chilwell, I think, will find an exit. There are suitors out there. I think Manchester United's interest has cooled, so that might be a problem because obviously his injury record doesn't help either.
And they got Luke Shaw as their left back. To have Luke Shaw as your left back and then sign Ben Chilwell is brave, isn't it?
Exactly. So you got that, and then Trevor Chalobah. I think Chelsea have actually accepted a lot of offers, but he just doesn't want to go. So I think
he's though, isn't he, right?
We say that, but then I think if Axel Disasi does go and Chelsea don't sign a centre back,
he might end up
coming back in
football. Yeah,
but
Maresca's been quite vocal that Sterling's not going to play full stop, but he hasn't said the same thing about Chalobah, has he?
He said similar things about Trevor Chalobah. Sure. I think he's going to either have to stick to his guns or he might have to go, look, if we're really struggling, we'll see what happens. My worry is injuries. We've had a terrible injury record in 2019. So if Chelsea have a lot of injuries and we don't have those players available and the squad's small and the pool's small, we will be in trouble. So, I'm hoping to see Chelsea just kick on this year. Everyone stays fit. Everyone delivers. And look, top 4 is obviously the target for Chelsea. They're saying it's not. It obviously is. But, it's just making steps in the right direction for me. That's all that matters with Chelsea.